Werner Herzog's reflection begins in the humid jungles of the Amazon, where imagination and reality blur together like fever and dream. Shadows in the forest, he writes, can thicken into substance, a poetic description of how ideas become real through sheer force of will. His example is drawn from his own film, Fitzcarraldo 1982, an almost mythic cinematic work in which vision itself becomes a form of truth. In the story, the dreamer Fitzcarraldo drags a steamship over a mountain in pursuit of building an opera house in the middle of the Amazon, a monument to culture amid chaos. Herzog recalls how the film itself, like Fitzcarraldo's quest, refused to distinguish between fantasy and the tangible world. Caruso's voice echoes through the jungle, Sarah Bernhardt hobbles onto a phantom stage, a ship sails across land. These are not metaphors but materialized hallucinations. He admits that in his filmmaking as in life he has always been driven by a remote goal, a distant glimmering truth. His work, he says, is an uncertain journey toward something ineffable, an ecstatic truth that transcends factuality. At the climax of Fitzcarraldo, after the protagonist achieves his impossible feat of dragging the steamer over the mountain, the indigenous people who helped him enact a dream of their own. One night they unmoor the ship and send it down the raging river to appease their gods. The vessel, battered and broken, limps back toward civilization, a poetic image of human ambition tempered by humility before nature and fate. Fitzcarraldo then recounts a parable. An early French trapper who first beheld Niagara Falls returned to his peers with tales so unbelievable that no one trusted him. When asked for proof, he simply said, "My proof is that I have seen them." For Herzog, this becomes a declaration of faith in subjective truth, a vision seen, a reality experienced, even when the world calls it madness. From this cinematic memory, Herzog launches into a meditation on the elusive nature of truth itself. No one knows what it is, he writes, least of all the author. Neither philosophers, mathematicians, nor the Pope can define truth. It is not a fixed destination, not a pole star in the sky to which we can steer. Truth, in Herzog's view, is a striving, a movement, an endless journey through darkness. It is the quest itself that gives meaning to human existence, setting us apart from the beast. He asks whether there can be truth in art, poetry, or film, whether we can step outside ourselves as the mystics once did into an ecstasy of perception. The Greek word ekstasis, meaning to stand outside oneself, captures this leap beyond the ego into something larger. This ecstatic truth, Herzog suggests, is not found through reason or data, but through creative vision, through images and stories that pierce the surface of reality to touch something deeper. Yet Herzog's search for ecstatic truth collides with the crisis of our time, the disintegration of truth in the digital age. He surveys the landscape of fake news, artificial intelligence, and propaganda, where reality itself has become malleable and uncertain. Are we not living already in a post-truth age? He asks. Deepfake technology allows anyone to fabricate convincing images and voices of public figures, including presidents ordering arrests or issuing commands that never happened. Falsehoods, he notes, spread 3 times faster online than factual statements, a measurable phenomenon that reveals how humans are drawn to the outrageous rather than the true. He describes with bemused horror an endless conversation online between himself and a Slovenian philosopher, a deepfake dialogue of their simulated voices speaking meaningless, algorithmically assembled sentences. The exchange, grammatically sound but soulless, mimics the cadence of real conversation yet carries no spirit, no insight. It is dead mimicry, a grotesque parody of thought. Similarly, Herzog recounts a BBC broadcast in which a virtual Charles Darwin is interviewed, a digital apparition speaking in stiff, academic English, his responses cobbled together from fragments of text mined from the internet. The artificial Darwin speaks coherently but emptily, delivering platitudes and pseudo-ideas culled from popular discourse. Asked about climate change, the fabricated Darwin muses vaguely about humanity's potential to colonize Mars. Herzog sees in this performance not only technological absurdity but a profound self-deception, an example of how digital tools mimic intelligence while hollowing it out. The virtual Darwin speech is a mirror of our own intellectual decay, a reflection of data without depth, logic without life. From here, Herzog's essay expands into a sweeping critique of modern utopianism, the recurring human delusion that paradise can be engineered. He traces the lineage of this madness from the realized utopias of the 20th century, communism and fascism, to the technological dreams of the 21st. Communism, he notes, was once envisioned as a rational paradise on Earth, but it required the imprisonment or annihilation of anyone who refused to believe. Fascism, its opposite twin, exalted an Aryan master race destined to rule the world through destruction. Both utopias, in seeking perfect order, yielded only terror. Now, Herzog argues, a new utopia dominates, the belief in salvation through technology. The dream of digital immortality, of conquering death through gene editing or of colonizing other planets, he sees as a continuation of the same dangerous impulse. The fantasy of a million humans living on Mars, peddled by Elon Musk and echoed by others, is to Herzog not vision but delusion masquerading as truth. He dissects this Mars dream with both irony and scientific precision. Astronomical distances render interstellar travel absurd. The nearest Earth-like planet lies 20,000 light-years away. Even reaching Alpha Centauri, a mere 4.5 light-years distant, would require impossible quantities of energy and time. To accelerate a human body to even a tenth the speed of light would demand fuel masses greater than the entire planet itself, a proposition so ludicrous it collapses under its own weight. Talk of using antimatter as fuel fares no better. Producing even a teaspoon of it would take billions of years and the wealth of nations. Herzog's tone, though sardonic, carries a tragic undercurrent. He does not mock scientific curiosity but laments how it has been hijacked by fantasies of escape. Humanity, he insists, cannot outrun its condition. Even Mars, the most plausible of these fantasies, is a graveyard world, toxic, frozen, and bombarded by lethal solar radiation. He enumerates the physical absurdities: the need for colossal fuel reserves, the impossibility of shielding against radiation, the problem of planetary orbits that would trap astronauts for 30 months between return windows. The much-touted million-person colony is, to Herzog, less a plan than a cult belief, a myth of technological transcendence. He skewers the notion that we could melt Mars's polar ice caps with nuclear explosions to produce water. Even if it were physically possible, how will we transport atomic bombs to Mars? How will we distribute the melted water across thousands of miles? Robots could, in theory, build domes and pipelines, but launching thousands of rockets laden with infrastructure is a logistical fantasy. Each question leads to another layer of absurdity, until the entire dream collapses under the weight of its own impossibility. At the heart of Herzog's critique lies a moral question. Even if it were possible, would it not be an obscenity to terraform a dead planet while neglecting the living one? Why spend unimaginable resources making Mars habitable when Earth, our cradle and home, teeters on the brink of ruin? His words recall the fatal hubris of Fitzcarraldo, humanity's compulsion to drag ships over mountains for the sake of grandeur, forgetting the gods of the river below. Yet Herzog's cynicism is not absolute. He confesses almost wistfully that he would love to go to Mars, but only as a filmmaker to send back daily bulletins to document the experience of alienation and wonder. He once applied for a Japanese lunar mission, though unsuccessfully, and jokes that Elon Musk once promised to take him along on a SpaceX flight. His frustration, however, is real. Why are only engineers sent into space? Why not poets, he asks, those who could translate the cosmic experience into human truth? This leads him to an ambivalent appraisal of Musk himself. Herzog calls Musk a visionary of commerce rather than of spirit, a man whose Mars rhetoric is ultimately a marketing strategy. By casting himself as the prophet of humanity's future, Musk ensures that every Tesla car, every battery, every rocket becomes part of a grand narrative of transcendence. Musk, Herzog admits, has achieved real technical innovations: reusable rockets, advanced batteries, electric vehicles. But these achievements are grounded in the same mosaic of half-truths that fuels his mythos. He did not invent the electric car, nor did he found Tesla, he bought into it. His true genius, Herzog implies, lies in his understanding of the modern psyche, that in an age of collapsing truth, the appearance of vision is enough to command belief. Herzog's essay, though sprawling, circles back to a single existential insight: truth cannot be manufactured, programmed, or simulated. It cannot be captured by algorithms or rendered in pixels. Truth, for Herzog, remains a mystery that must be wrestled with, not solved, a movement of the human spirit towards something that forever recedes. It is born not from data but from vision, not from certainty but from struggle. In the jungle of Fitzcarraldo, in the fever dreams of filmmakers and explorers, in the faces of those who drag ships across mountains, truth flickers, elusive, ecstatic, ungraspable. Against the age of artificial wisdom and digital fakery, Herzog sets a counterimage: the human being straining toward the unknown, bound for failure yet ennobled by the striving. As he concludes, truth may not be a star we can reach, but the act of seeking it, of journeying into that vast twilight forest, is what gives our lives meaning. The post-truth age, with all its simulations and delusions, can only be resisted through the same stubborn, mad pursuit that once drove Fitzcarraldo to haul his ship up the mountain: a conviction that the unreal can, through sheer will and wonder, become real. In this paradox lies Herzog's final message: that the only antidote to falsehood is not fact but vision, not data but ecstasy. Truth is not something we know but something we become when we dare to look beyond the limits of what is possible.